Professional Standards for Special Educators. The purpose of this module is to familiarize the learner with the professional standards that govern special educators new to the field of teaching. In addition to introducing the sets of professional standards, there are several activities provided to facilitate these standards from theory to practice. This document was developed and produced by the Maryland State Department of Education through federal funds. The Towson University Teaching Modules Development Team was led by Debbie Gartland, Project Director. Also on the team, Roberta Stroh-Snyder, Val Sharp, Michelle Pascoe, Lenore Chapman, Jessica Kirchen, Jessica Moore, Rebecca Malloy, and Darlene Fuster. Thank you to all the content experts and others who provided feedback on the teaching modules as they were under development, including Towson University faculty, staff, and teacher candidates, and school system and MSDE personnel. There are two sets of professional standards that govern the teaching practices of special educators. These standards are, first, the Council for Exceptional Children Standards that were revised in 2012, and the Interstate Teacher Assessment and Support Consortium Standards that were also revised in 2011. Notice that the full name when written out for the INTASC standards does not contain the letter N. Prior to 2011, the letter N was used to designate that these standards were for new teachers. In 2011, with the INTASC standards revision, it was determined by the Council of Chief State School Officers that these standards were appropriate for all teachers, not just those new to the profession. The CEC and INTASC standards play a huge role in the national accreditation of a teacher preparation program. These two sets of standards serve as the foundational criteria to ensure that all teachers have the knowledge and skills to support student learning and growth. CEC and INTASC are known as Specialized Professional Associations, or SPAs. The governing body for national accreditation of teacher preparation programs is called CAEP. The acronym CAEP, C-A-E-P, stands for the Council for the Accreditation of Teacher Education Preparation and was formed when two separate accreditation agencies combined into CAEP. This is a schematic of the relationship between CAEP, the SPAs, and the two sets of professional standards. Let's review the 7 CEC standards that apply to the initial preparation and evaluation of special educators. Standard 1, Learner Development and Individual Learning Differences. Beginning special education professionals understand how exceptionalities may interact with development and learning, and use this knowledge to provide meaningful and challenging learning experiences for individuals with exceptionalities. Note the key elements. Standard 2, Learning Environments. Beginning special education professionals create safe, inclusive, culturally responsive learning environments so that individuals with exceptionalities become active and effective learners and develop emotional well-being, positive social interactions, and self-determination. Note the key elements. Standard 3, Curricular Content Knowledge. Beginning special education professionals use knowledge of general and specialized curricula to individualize learning for individuals with exceptionalities. Note the key elements. Standard 4, Assessment. Beginning special education professionals use multiple methods of assessment and data sources in making educational decisions. Note the key elements. Standard 5, Instructional Planning and Strategies. Beginning special education professionals select, adapt, and use a repertoire of evidence-based instructional strategies to advance learning of individuals with exceptionalities. Note the key elements on this slide and the next. Key elements for Standard 5 continued. Standard 6, Professional Learning and Ethical Practice. Beginning special education professionals use foundational knowledge of the field and the CEC ethical principles and professional practice standards to inform special education practice, to engage in lifelong learning, and to advance the profession. Note the key elements on this slide and the next. This shows the remaining key elements for Standard 6. Standard 7, Collaboration. Beginning special education professionals collaborate with families, other educators, related service providers, individuals with exceptionalities, and personnel from community agencies in culturally responsive ways to address the needs of individuals with exceptionalities across a range of learning experiences. Note the key elements. Take a few minutes to think about these standards. How does your coursework and practicum assignments align with these standards? Please provide specific examples. The second set of professional standards that guide the practices of special educators are the Interstate Teacher Assessment and Support Consortium, or INTASC, 2011. Originally, the standards were for new teachers, regardless of the content or discipline taught. However, since the 2011 revisions, these standards govern the professional teaching practices of all teachers. The next 4 slides have the titles and brief descriptions for each of the 10 INTASC standards. Click the link below to access the performances, essential knowledge, and critical dispositions for each of the 10 INTASC standards. Standard 1, Learner Development. Standard 2, Learning Differences. Standard 3, Learning Environments. Standard 4, Content Knowledge. Standard 5, Application of Content. Standard 6, Assessment. Standard 7, Planning for Instruction. Standard 8, Instructional Strategies. Standard 9, Professional Learning and Ethical Practice. Standard 10, Leadership and Collaboration. As you can see, these standards address similar expectations to the expectations outlined in the CEC standards. Why do you think this is the case? There is a crosswalk between the CEC and INTASC standards. There are 4 overarching categories for each set of standards. The alignment of standards between CEC and INTASC is not exact, but it is very similar. Why do you think that is? Activities that bring the theory of these standards to everyday practice. The last part of this presentation consists of activities that will help you, as an intern, better understand these standards through practical experiences. Each activity illustrates the connection between theory and practice. These activities are designed to help you understand the language used in the INTASC and CEC standards. Understanding the language will facilitate the connection between the theory stated in these standards and the practical application of teaching activities and behaviors. Note the 8 activities. Activity 1, Connecting Standards to the Rationale Statement. Refer to the EASY Professional Portfolio list of requirements, the standards listed in your internship handbook, and the Danielson Framework correlation handout in order to complete this activity. This is the second part of Activity 1. Activity 2, Weekly Reflection. Being a reflective practitioner is an integral component of professional growth and student success. After teaching a lesson, this worksheet can be used as a guide to facilitate the reflective process. While completing the plus delta portion of this worksheet, be sure to align the professional standards with each of your responses. This is a great way to measure your professional growth and can serve as your personal data. You can also share this information during a job interview. As well, course assignments can be reflected upon with regard to the professional standards alignment. Activity 3. This activity helps to interpret some of the teaching practices you observe and the alignment of these practices with the CEC and INTASC professional standards. The elements of good teaching can be changed to provide a robust variety of experiences. Activity 4. As a senior intern during pre-service week, you will observe a multitude of teacher activities and responsibilities take place. Let's take a moment to share some of your observations. How do the activities and responsibilities observed align with the CEC and INTASC standards? Please be prepared to explain your answers. This is the second page of the pre-service week activities checklist. Activity 5 is the Weekly Mentor Feedback Summary. This weekly mentor feedback summary was designed by Dr. Debbie Gartland. As you complete your weekly rotation duties, please use this feedback summary with your mentor or university supervisor. Using this feedback form will help you track your professional growth as well as your mastery of the criteria outlined in the professional standards. This is the weekly mentor feedback summary for standards 4 through 7. This is the weekly feedback summary for standards 8 through 10. Maryland Learning Links is an educator website affiliated with the Maryland State Department of Education. Within this website, there are multiple resources and activities. The Stages of Professional Development is one such resource. Stages was developed by Dr. Debbie Gartland and Dr. Roberta Stroh-Snyder of Towson University, Department of Special Education, and Ms. Stacy Williams of the University of Maryland, Department of Special Education. The Maryland Professional Development Tracker, PDOT, is free and serves 3 major purposes for you as an intern or teacher. These 3 purposes are to first self-assess standards that are competency-based. Second, to analyze your self-determined performance in relation to these standards and accompanying indicators. And third, to monitor and track your professional growth in relationship to the CEC and INTASC standards. These results are confidential and only you have access to them. To start the self-assessment, click the button that says Stages of Professional Development 2013. This assessment addresses the new 2012 CEC and 2011 INTASC standards. Next, click Begin a New Self-Assessment. Once you create your PDOT account, you will be able to complete the self-assessment process as many times as you wish. The results will show your longitudinal growth. As you complete each standard, your completion ratings will be registered and saved. You can then review your results for that standard. You do not have to complete an entire standard at once. Lastly, please note that there is a correlation between the Charlotte Danielson Framework for Teaching and the Interstate Teacher Assessment and Support Consortium standards. This is the second page of the correlation. For further information about the CEC and INTASC standards, please consult the following resources. Some additional resources. Thank you for your attention.